Most Worshipful Brother Michael L. Sanders, Most Worshipful Brother Warren R. Strobin, and Most Worshipful Brother Bruce E. Vesper. Please welcome them. And I guess, oh, you have the roll call of officers next. Most Worshipful.
The officers elected for the ensuing Grand Lodge year. Grand Master, Most Worshipful Cameron M. Bailey. Right Worshipful Edward C. Woods, Deputy Grand Master. Right Worshipful Steve C. Martin, Senior Grand Warden. Our newest elected Grand Lodge officer, Right Worshipful James C. Norton, Jr., Junior Grand Warden. Right Worshipful Clinton M. Brown, Jr., Grand Secretary. Worshipful J. Brent Woodward, Grand Chaplain. Very Worshipful Larry D. Foley, Grand Lecturer. Worshipful Joey S. Ignacio, Grand Orator. Very Worshipful Roger B. Nelson, Grand Historian. Worshipful Barry C. Rutkowski, Grand Marshal. Very Worshipful Clayton M. Anderson, Senior Grand Deacon. Very Worshipful Mike L. Clemenhagen, Junior Grand Deacon. Worshipful Todd S. Mears, Grand Standard Bearer. Worshipful Frank Burke, Grand Sword Bearer. Worshipful Joseph M. Towns III, Grand Bible Bearer. Very Worshipful Ashley Brinkley, Senior Grand Steward. Worshipful Thomas D. Heyman, Junior Grand Steward. Back on the guitar, Worshipful Ricardo Barrientos, Grand Musician. Very Worshipful Don G. Lyman, Grand Tyler. Very Worshipful Clayton M. M. Levine, Assistant Grand Secretary.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, I would ask that in recognition of the solemnity of these ceremonies, that if you have a cell phone, you please either turn it on stun or off. Either way works for me. Most Worshipful Brother installing Grand Marshal, you will present the Grand Master-elect for installation. I mean, to the east, excuse me.
Most Worshipful Sir, I have the honor to present to you for installation Right Worshipful Brother Cameron Bailey, to be installed as Most Worshipful Grand Master of Masons for the ensuing year, and signifies his acceptance for the said office.
Have him faced west. Ladies and gentlemen, brethren and friends, you behold Right Worshipful Brother Cameron M. Bailey, who, having been duly elected by his brethren to serve as Grand Master of this Most Worshipful Grand Lodge, now presents himself for installation. If anyone present knows of any just cause of why he should not be installed into that high and honorable office, you will make it known now or forever remain silent. Most Worshipful Brother installing Grand Marshal, you will conduct the Grand Master-elect to the altar, there in due form facing east, to receive the benefit of prayer and to take upon himself his official obligation. Would everyone please stand for the prayer?
Brethren, let us pray. Almighty and most merciful Father, eternal source of life and light, with adoration and praise we reverently bow before thy throne. We humbly implore thy divine favor upon the services in which we are now engaged. May the lessons taught, the duties imposed, the obligations assumed be productive of great good to us all. May they inspire our hearts with more ardent love to thee, to each other, and to the whole brotherhood of man. Incite in us, we entreat thee, a higher ambition to do thy will, and greater faithfulness and obedience to thy law. Bless, O our Father, thy servant now before thee, who is about to enter upon duties of great responsibility and assume new and important relations to his brethren. Endow him plenteously with divine wisdom, strength, and love, that he may be able to rule and govern in thy fear, that thy name may be glorified in the best interest of the brotherhood promoted through his administration and guardian care. We invoke thy blessing upon the brethren associated with him in office. May they feel a just sense of their accountability to thee and to the fraternity. May they be ever faithful and zealous in duty and assist in upholding the hands of their chief in every good work and way. Bless, we beseech thee, our Grand Lodge and its subordinates, and all the brotherhood wheresoever dispersed. Be thou our friend, guide and protector in all things. Lead us safely through the unseen vicissitudes of life before us, and bring us all at last to dwell with thee in those mansions of eternal bliss, where there is fullness of joy and pleasures forevermore. Amen.
So mote it be. Brethren, remain standing. Our guests may be seated. Right Worshipful Sir, you will repeat your official obligation.
I, Cameron Matthew Bailey, do solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason that in the office of Grand Master of Masons for the jurisdiction of Washington, I will faithfully and impartially perform all the duties incumbent upon me. I will strictly comply with the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations of this most worshipful Grand Lodge, all the usages and customs of free and accepted Masons. And I will studiously endeavor to enforce obedience to the same from all subject to my authority.
Brother installing Grand Marshal, you will conduct our Grand Master-elect to the Grand East. Most worshipful brother, as thus you are now entitled to be hailed. In inducting you into this high official position symbolizing the commencement of your government over our craft, I am performing a most solemn duty. By immemorial usage and the irrevocable landmarks of Masonry, you are invested as Grand Master, with powers and prerogatives which are well nigh absolute. The interests of our fraternity for weal and woe are placed in your hands during your term of office. The good resolutions that doubtless have been made in your mind, that these powers shall neither be abused nor perverted by you, I would gladly strengthen by a word of admonition, which will not become me hereafter to utter. The very consciousness of the possession of a great power will ever make the generous mind cautious and gentle in its exercise. To rule has been the lot of many and requires neither strength of intellect nor soundness of judgment. To rule well has been the object of but a few, and may justly be the object of an honorable ambition. It is not by the strong arm or the iron will that obedience and order, chief requisites to a good government, are secured, but by holding the key to the hearts of men. The office of Grand Master is of great antiquity and respect, and one of the highest dignities to which we may aspire. Its incumbent, to rule well, should possess and practice several important requisites. As a man, he should be of approved integrity and irreproachable morals, freed from the dominion of hasty temper and ill-governed passions, of good repute in the world, and practicing as an example of our fraternity the cardinal virtues of temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice. As a citizen, he should be loyal to his government, obedient to its laws, prompt in the duties he owes to society, and a pattern of fidelity in all social domestic relations. As a Mason, he should cling to the old landmarks and be sternly opposed to their infringement. Be proficient in the laws, language, and literature of the fraternity. Be desirous to learn and apt to teach. Though for the time not a workman, yet be master of the work and qualified to earn his wages. Be prompt to give aid and relief and slow to demand it. Be ever mindful that though elevated above his fellows for a time, that he is in fact elevated by them, and that he's yet a craftsman, more sacredly bound by a craftsman's obligation. and that he should cultivate everywhere and at all times the golden tenets of brotherly love, relief, and truth. As an officer, he should remember, first of all, that he is an individual Mason, and sharing in that respect a common lot with his brethren, and therefore interested in the welfare of each and all. Be devoid of undue ostentation and haughty overbearing. Be accessible to all, cultivating his closest friendships and the most unlimited confidence with his associate officers. Be eager to take counsel with brethren and ready to give it. Be patient in investigation and hearing. Be deliberate in judgment, prompt in execution. Be forbearing long and much with evildoers. Be ready to reward good. Be devoid of favoritism and haughty overbearing. Be watchful over the treasury, keeping an eagle eye over every portion of his jurisdiction and breasting ever the restless spirit of innovation. Such, most worshipful sir, are some of the most important requisites that a Grand Master should possess, and some of the leading errors to be avoided. It may be that most, if not all, of your predecessors failed to reach that standard, but it is attainable, and be it your purpose to reach it. Your efforts in doing so will not be lost in good results to yourself or in their proper appreciation by your brethren, but will afford a bright and shiny example for those who shall come after you. I now with pleasure invest you with the jewel of your office, whose symbolic meaning will now hold a new and striking significance to you. I also place in your hand the emblem of that power with which you have been invested, and which in your hands must never be sounded in vain. I also place in your charge the Book of Constitutions and the Holy Writings, and I would especially draw your attention to the latter. In this you will find the great living fundamental principles upon which Freemasonry is founded, from which it derives its wisdom, strength, and beauty. This will confirm your faith, strengthen your hope, encourage and energize your charity, and direct your steps toward that temple where all is harmony, peace, and love. Lastly, most worshipful sir, it gives me great pleasure to seat you in the Grand East. And cover you with that distinction, which is your privilege alone to wear. Permit me to say that the honor which has been conferred upon you is not unworthy a man of the highest position or most distinguished of capabilities. I now hail, proclaim, and salute you, most worshipful Grand Master of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of Washington. Most worshipful sir, please raise your Grand Lodge. Most worshipful Grand Master, behold your brethren. Brethren, behold your most worshipful Grand Master, and join in the public grand honors of Masonry. And a hearty round of congratulatory applause.
Thank you, sir.
Most worshipful brother, you can seat your Grand Lodge if you so desire. Technically, I'm done.
I was rather hoping you would continue.
We were waiting for that.
Most worshipful.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Brother Grand Marshals, you will conduct the Deputy Grand Master, Senior Grand Warden, Junior Grand Warden, and Grand Secretary-elect to the altar for obligation. My brothers, having signified your acceptance and readiness to be installed into places of trust and honor, you will place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I do solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason, and in the presence of this most worshipful Grand Lodge of free and accepted Masons, that I will conform to the Constitution, rules, and regulations of this most worshipful Grand Lodge, and I will do to the best of my ability to perform all the duties incumbent upon my office. You may drop your hands.
Right Worshipful Brother Ed, you have not been an inattentive observer for the ceremony of installing the Most Worshipful Grand Master, for you are aware of that in case of his incapacity to act in contingencies mentioned in our Constitution, you succeed to his duties and prerogatives, as you do also when acting as his substitute in matters specially delegated to you. Your office, therefore, is one of great dignity and importance, for it is because of these views and these considerations that your brethren have selected you to fill it. Treasure up, therefore, the suggestions made to the Most Worshipful Grand Master, for you know not how soon they may have personal application to you. And remember also that usage, as well as our particular regulations, have placed you in most intimate and confidential relations to him as supporter and counselor. I now, with pleasure, invest you with the jewel of your office. And proclaim you Deputy Grand Master of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Washington. You will now be seated in your place, which is at the right side of the Most Worshipful Grand Master.
Most worshipful sir, I have the honor to present to you Right Worshipful Brother Steve Martin to be installed the Senior Grand Warden for the ensuing year.
Right Worshipful Brother, by the suffrages of your brethren, you have been elected their Senior Grand Warden, and we now invest you with the badge of your office. The position which you occupy in the Grand Lodge and among the fraternity is one of no little importance. In the Grand Lodge, to aid in the preservation of order and at all times to render counsel and advice to the Grand Master are high and responsible duties, requiring circumspection, vigilance, and recollection. When these is superadded the more onerous labor in conjunction with the Junior Grand Warden of diligently preserving the ancient landmarks throughout the jurisdiction, it becomes a trust of deep moment to the welfare of the craft. Your fitness for the discharge of such a trust undoubtedly led to your selection for the office by your brethren, and it will be your duty and pleasure to act so as to justify their competence. Look well to the west. Congratulations, Your Worship.
Right Worshipful Brother, as the duties of your office, the duties of and qualifications for your office are almost identical with those of the Senior Grand Warden. I will simply add to the charge given to that officer that you be equally vigilant and circumspect, not only at your position in the Grand Lodge, but also in the broader field of action without, dividing with him his duties, taking great care that the grand object of your united solicitude shall remain inviolate. Accept the jewel of your office and repair to the Grand South, being ever watchful, whether at labor or refreshment, that the high 12 of observation does not find you with your work and that of the craft which you superintend. My brother, congratulations. Look well to the south.
Is he here? I can't see him. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the lights.
Most merciful sir, I have the honor to present to you Right Worshipful Brother Clint Brown for installation as Grand Secretary for the ensuing year.
Right Worshipful Brother Clint, usage as well as positive enactments from time to time have rendered the duties of the office of Grand Secretary more onerous and varied than that of any officer. Brought by his official position more immediately into communication with the whole body of the fraternity, it is requisite that he should possess ability, skill, and industry to meet the various demands upon him. Placed in a position where he holds almost constant correspondence with our Masonic brethren of every state and country. Upon him devolves, in a large degree, the great name and credit of the Masonic family of this state. The fraternity should enable him to maintain it. He should strive that it be maintained. Courtesy and patience are the elements to his manners and character. Vigilance and fidelity are also necessary qualities. Our constitutions, my brother, point out to you fully the duties of your office, and I will not recapitulate them. Your capacity and capability for their prompt and faithful execution has induced your brethren to confide this trust in you and to feel assured that it is well placed. In investing you with your official jewel, the pens, I am persuaded that they were made an enduring record, not only to your praise, but to the welfare of the craft, so largely dependent upon your experience and integrity.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you worship brother Brett Walker, who is now grand chapter of this grand religious seminary.
Worshipful Brother Brent, the holy book, which is the textbook of your, sacred calling, is also the great light of Masonry, and forever sheds its benignant rays upon every lawful assemblage of free and accepted Masons. Teach us from its life-giving precepts. Intercede with us for that divine majesty which it so freely reveals and unfolds to us. And warn us by its lessons of infinite wisdom and truth, and you will have faithfully performed your sacred function and fulfilled your important trust. It is fitting that an emblem of the sacred volume should be the jewel of your office, which I now invest you with.
Most worshipful sir, I have the honor to present to you very worshipful brother Larry Foley, to be installed as royal lecturer for this instant year.
Very worshipful Brother Larry, it will be your high privilege to instruct the craft in the due performance of their duty, to communicate light, and to preserve the rituals and traditions in the memory of the fraternity, to see that the ancient landmarks are not removed or infringed upon by ignorant pretenders, and by the light of your instruction illustrate the genius and vindicate the principles of our institution to our lodges and brethren. The high confidence reposed in your capacity and in the faithful discharge of so important a trust assure us that you will require no promptings in the prompt performance of your duty. Let it be your special object, while inculcating among the members of our time-honored fraternity a faithful regard for its duties and obligations, to impress upon the world at large, by your example, a favorable opinion of the designs and tendencies. I present you with this jewel. Receive it as an emblem of your authority and enter upon the duties of your office.
Most worshipful sir, it is indeed a pleasure for me to present to you First Brother Joey S. Ignacio to be installed Grand Orator of Grand Lodge for the ensuing year.
Worshipful Brother Ignacio, you have been appointed to the office of Grand Orator, and you will now be invested with the jewel of your office. Your reputation as a wise and discreet Freemason has designated you for this post of distinction. You enter upon the discharge of the duties of your office with the assurance of the confidence and respect of your brethren. Be it your care to merit this high need, ever bearing in mind the first lesson in Masonry: truth is a divine attribute, the foundation of every virtue.
Most worshipful sir, I have the honor to present to you Very Worshipful Brother Roger E. Nelson for installation as Grand Historian for the ensuing year.
Very worshipful Brother Roger, you have been appointed Grand Historian and will now be invested with the jewel of your office. It is your duty to collect all data relative to the formation and progress of this Grand Lodge, and I feel sure that your known interest and good inclination to Masonry will prompt you to a faithful discharge of your office.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you Worship Brother Barry Rakowski to be installed Grand Marshal for the ensuing year.
Worshipful Brother Barry, the duties of your office require energy, activity, and quickness of perception. The good order of the fraternity in its general assemblies and processions depends upon your care, skill, and assiduity. Possessing these qualifications, you have been appointed Grand Marshal, and I now with pleasure install you into office and invest you with the appropriate jewel. It denotes command as the origin of the Grand Master, to whom you will be near at hand in order to execute his orders. Very worshipful brothers, as messengers of the grand officers and as useful assistants in our ceremonies, your respective official positions are of very great value and importance to the comfort and good order of the Grand Lodge. Vigilance and zeal are necessary requisites of your offices, and we know that you possess them. As senior and junior Grand Deacons of this Grand Lodge, you are now invested with the jewels of your office. Together with these rods as tokens of your authority.
Most worshipful sir, it is my pleasure to present to you Worship Brother Saunders, the installed Grand Standard Bearer of this seminary.
Worshipful brother, it is your duty to bear the banner of the Grand Lodge in procession. The banner of a nation is the emblem of its honor. As we strive to transmit our banner to those who shall come after us without spot or stain on its folds, so should we also endeavor to transmit to our successors our glorious institution in all its purity. Congratulations, my brother.
Most worshipful sir, I have the honor to present to you for installation, Worshipful Brother Frank Burke, as Grand Sword Bearer for the ensuing year.
Worshipful brother, the sword which you bear is the time-honored symbol of justice and authority. It reminds us, the beholder, of the dignity of the body whose emblem it is. It is also the guardian and protector of the standard of the Grand Lodge. Be ever faithful to your trust. Let this jewel of your office remind you of its nature. Congratulations, my brother.
Worshipful brother, we have great pleasure in investing you with the jewel of your office. Upon this jewel, you will observe the impress image of that holy book, which, in the discharge of your duties, you will, the duties of your office, you are to bear on all public processions and stately movings of the Grand Lodge. The light of its sacred page opens to our vision the peaceful pathway of life. It leads to the contemplation of that higher life of our being, the life that is now and is to come. May its sacred truths be ever open to our acceptance and treasured upon our heart of hearts as jewels, treasured and priceless in value. Your station in the Grand Lodge is in the east, on the left of the Grand Master.
Most worshipful sir, I have the honor to present to you Ashley Brinkley and Thomas B. Heyman, Senior Grand Steward and Junior Grand Steward, respectively, for you, salute.
My brothers, in olden times, your province was to superintend and provide for the festivals of the craft. And that duty still remains to you, although there is rarely the occasion for its exercise. But we are taught that it is better to go to the house of mourning than to the house of feasting. And hence, on you has been appropriately imposed the dispensation of our beneficence. That it is a grateful duty all hearts testify, and we know that yours most fully responds to it. Receive the jewels of your office. Together with these white rods. Congratulations.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you Worship Brother Ricardo Berrientos to be installed Grand Musician in the ensuing.
Worshipful Brother Ricardo, you have been appointed Grand Musician of this Grand Lodge and will now be invested with the jewel of your office. Under the direction of the Grand Master, you will conduct the musical services of this Grand Lodge. As harmony is the strength and support of all institutions, may the harmony over which you preside strengthen and support every gentle and ennobling emotion to the soul.
Most worshipful sir, I have the honor to present to you for installation Very Worshipful Brother Don Lyman to be installed as granddaughter pretty soon here.
Very worshipful Brother Don, the importance of the duties of your place cannot be overrated. Care and watchfulness are indispensably requisite, and in all cases, unless thoroughly satisfied with the character and identity of those presenting themselves for admission, let your doubts prevail. Ours is a sanctuary entrusted to you faithfully and vigilantly to guard, and you have always at hand the means of being fully satisfied. Irreparable injury may result from a negligent or careless discharge of your duty. Your station is ever outside the door, to which you will now repair with this jewel. And also with the implement of your office.
Right worshipful sir, it is indeed a pleasure to present to you Very Worshipful Brother Clayton M. Lavon to be installed, Assistant Grand Secretary of the Grand Lodge for the ensuing term.
Very Worshipful Brother Clayton Morrison Montgomery Levine. As the duties of your office are almost identical to those of the Grand Secretary, and that in his absence you are to perform the duties of that office under the direction of the Grand Master, I will only add the charge to be equally vigilant and faithful, courteous and patient in the performance of those duties. In investing you with the jewel, your official jewel, the single pen, I am persuaded that you will be a proper representative of the office of the Grand Lodge whenever called upon, if not at all times, in your association with the craft.
Just want to make sure.
If the deputies to the Grand Master would please stand. Very worshipful brothers, You have been appointed to the responsible office of Deputy of the Grand Master in your respective districts. It will be your duty to exercise a general supervision over the craft in your respective districts, to visit all the lodges therein during your term of office, to inspect their labors, examine and inquire into the state of said lodges, and to give them Masonic advice and instruction. Let the Book of Constitutions be your constant study, that you may be able to preserve inviolate the laws of the institution and impress upon the lodges in your respective districts the necessity of a strict adherence to our laws. Apparently they changed this.
Nurse Ryan. Nurse. Nurse Ryan. Yes.
There we go.
Now, face the west. West is down. One step back. Thank you.
I will now invest you with the jewel of your office. Very worshipful Brother David Byrne, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
District 2. Very worshipful Brother Ken Bode, District 3. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Very worshipful Brother Charles Hadran, District 4. Thank you, sir. Very worshipful Brother Gerald Parton, District 5. Congratulations, sir. Very worshipful Brother Richard Malden, District 6. Thank you, sir. Very worshipful Brother Dean Markley, District 7. Thank you, sir. My mentor when I became a Mason, very worshipful Brother Andre DeWald, District 8.
Thank you, most worshipful.
Thank you, Andre. Very worshipful Brother Mike Tando, District 9. Congratulations. Very worshipful Brother Kurt Gazow, District 10. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very worshipful Brother Pete Waldrop, District 11. Very worshipful Brother Scott Sagasser, District 12. Thank you, sir. Very worshipful Brother Don Downing, District 13.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yep. Thank you, Don. Very worshipful Brother Alex Jordan, District 14. Congratulations. Oh, this was a skinny guy before. And
Here we go.
that changed me. Very Worshipful Brother Mark Conley, District 15.
Thank you, Grandmaster.
Thank you, sir. Very Worshipful Brother Pat Baker, District 17. Thank you, Pat. Very Worshipful Brother Ron Horn, District 18. Thank you, sir. Very Worshipful Brother David Rice, District 19. Very Worshipful Brother Darrell Bullard, District 20. Thank you, brother. Very Worshipful Brother Aaron Simon, District 21. Congratulations. Very Worshipful Brother William Carter, District 22. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very Worshipful Brother Louis Ojeda, District 23. We're going to try. Very Worshipful Brother Jeff Piatella, District 26. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Very Worshipful Brother William Bialazar, District 27. Thank you, sir. Very Worshipful Brother Justin Rowland, District 28. Thank you, brother. Very Worshipful Brother John Lynn, District 30. Thank you, brother. Brothers, please be seated. You want to do them? Okay. Yeah. You do them. Jim, they're not here, so we're just running.
What? Yeah. Will all committeemen please rise that are here? Brethren, you've been appointed to the responsible position of committeemen of the Grand Lodge. It will be your duty to fulfill your duties as prescribed by the Washington Masonic Code or as directed by the Grand Master. To you is committed the programs and plans of the Grand Lodge, and you are admonished to diligently apply yourselves by the square virtue, the level of equality, and the plumb of morality. Transmit to the constituent lodges the knowledge and lessons that will enable them to flourish and grow in Masonic light. Please be seated. Brother installing Most Worshipful Brother Grand Marshal. You will make proclamation.
In the name and by the authority of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of Washington, I now proclaim that its grand officers for the ensuing year are amply installed in their respective states.
Brother Grand Chaplain, may we have the benediction. So mote it be. Most Worshipful Grand Master, on behalf of your installing team, we thank you for the privilege of allowing us to be part of a new beginning, as it were, of our Grand Lodge. Congratulations. Godspeed.
Thank you.
So if you're following the program, it's probably not good because I'm going to kind of ignore it. But we're going to start. We have some presents for my predecessor, Most Worshipful Brother Chris Kaufman. Brother? So we thought that this paper apron probably wasn't appropriate, even though it looks good on you.
Oh, thank you.
Traveling jewel.
Thank you, sir.
A lot of plastic. And your past Grandmaster's apron
Thank you. It's beautiful.
with your name, your years of service, and your motto
Thank
embroidered.
you very much. Stretch out far enough so I can put it on.
Yeah, you'll look better. That paper, that's bad.
Most Worshipful Sir, as long as yeah, that was pretty
Ooh.
good guess, huh? Almost. Oh, do it the other way. As long as I have you here, sir.
Well, I'm told that I have to put a necklace on you first.
Okay.
And the jewel of your office.
Thank you, sir. I very much appreciate it. I have a couple of things for you too, sir.
Okay.
No, important stuff. First off, here is the Grand Master's ring, which traditionally you get tonight. You take it home, put it in your safe deposit box, leave it there until your next installation.
Perfect.
Here you go.
Thank you.
I have a couple other things here for you. As I told you, the Grandmaster seal.
Ooh.
I have here, oh, yep, here they are. The keys to the office and that lets you in the front door.
All right.
So you can get in.
I told you not to give him those.
He's Grandmaster now. And one other little thing that as long as you obey the speed limit, you can put on your car.
Okay, we won't put them on Melinda's car.
Whatever you say, sir. Congratulations, my brother.
Thank you, Grandmaster.
Thank you.
Brother Junior Grand Warden, do you have any guests with you tonight you would like to introduce? If you hit the button by your microphone, it'll turn on. Oh. Okay. Brother Senior Grand Warden. Would you have someone you'd like to introduce this evening? Brother Deputy Grand Master. Would you have someone you'd like to introduce this evening?
Absolutely. My lovely wife, Carolyn.
And I guess I'm lucky. I've had quite a few folks make the trip. I thank you all very much. My dearest friend, Senator Kirk Pearson, in the back. My cousins from Greece, Kimberly and Zoe. My aunt and uncle, Don and Barb. My 3 daughters, Amber, Bethany, and Chelsea. My granddaughter, Avery. Son-in-law, Justin. And Chelsea's partner, Christina. My brother, Chris, and his lady. My mother flew up from Mexico to see what kind of people were going to come and trash her house in December. And, of course, my wife, Melinda. Thank you all for coming. Right Worshipful Brother, Grand Secretary, would you have someone?
My privilege to introduce my beautiful wife, Jane. She forgot to bring our 2 daughters tonight, so.
I know. You're in trouble now.
So I would like to give a special thank you to our AV team. With COVID, as you notice, we're socially distanced in here and pretty limited on how many people we could have tonight. So they have been sending us out all day over the internet, and we thank you all very much. Most especially, I'm told, Barry, who came here without even being a Mason to help us out. We thank you very much, sir. And we couldn't have done this without you guys, and so thank you very much. As I begin, so she's going to get all mad at me, but I'd like to make special mention of my wife, Melinda, because without her assistance, I wouldn't have been able to have the Masonic career I've had. And I imagine that that's pretty similar for most of us. The kind of sad thing is, though, that she never gets to have a birthday, because her birthday is on our annual communication every year. So tonight, once again, it's her birthday, but she's stuck here at my installation. The trouble is, though, she really doesn't like it if anybody knows she has a birthday. So I'm not allowed to wish her a happy birthday tonight, because that would embarrass her. So I arranged a video of someone else to wish you a happy birthday, if you guys could roll the video. Uh-oh. See? I didn't do it, so that means I get to make it through the night without being stabbed in the heart. But assuming this office is admittedly pretty awe-inspiring for me, I've got quite a line of predecessors to try and live up to. You know, famous people, Princes of Wales, Andrew Jackson, Harry Truman. But most importantly, and more importantly, the men sitting in front tonight, all around us, the men who've helped with this installation. I've said it before, but it's true. This is the finest group of men that I've ever encountered. And I just hope that I can live up to the tremendous example that they have set. When considering what to say this evening, I thought maybe I should go way back to the basics, and I should try to define Freemasonry. So ancient that its birth is lost to the mists of time, Freemasonry is the oldest, largest, richest, most influential body of men that has ever existed on the face of the earth. Freemasonry exists in every part of our world, from the largest of cities and the tiniest of towns. Freemasons are everywhere and have been everywhere since time immemorial. Freemasonry in the Western world cradled the Enlightenment that led to the modern world that we all now enjoy. Freemasonry has consistently championed the cause of freedom all over the world, but most especially here in the Americas, where Freemasons led the revolutions that threw off the yoke of European oppression in the United States, Mexico, and throughout Central and South America. So that begs the question, what is Freemasonry? Through its worldwide charitable efforts, including things such as our Shriners Hospitals for Children, our Scottish Rite Scholarships, Freemasonry is undoubtedly the world's greatest charitable institution. But we are not a charity. A Freemason could quite easily spend every night of the week out at some Masonic event or another, enjoying fellowship and good society with men, all of whom are doing their best to be good men. But this ability to find friends and brothers at any moment isn't limited geographically. A man could very easily fly from Seattle to Manila or Tokyo and be instantly welcomed into the lodges there, anywhere in the world, really. So it's fair to say that Freemasonry is the world's greatest social organization. But we're not a social organization. Freemasonry, as I think you've seen tonight, is a great champion of religion. Not of any particular religion, but of every religion that helps good men become better men. Freemasonry truly is deeply religious and spiritual, but once again, Freemasonry is not a religion. So what exactly is Freemasonry? And I think that's a question that we all struggle to answer from time to time. The official answer, of course, is that we are a peculiar system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. But I don't know how helpful that is in common conversation. I think that a more helpful answer is that we are what we have proven ourselves to be since time immemorial. Freemasonry is the great peace society of the world. Freemasonry seeks to unite men of all religious creeds and from every country and every climate into one common band or brotherhood of man, putting the differences that divide men aside and creating a society of peace and harmony. So what is Freemasonry? Well, I think that Freemasonry is a union of men who all share a sincere and powerful dedication to a few core ideas brotherly love, relief, and truth, faith, hope, and charity. A union of men who hold these principles within their hearts, and so very strongly that they will never give them up, no matter how much pressure might be exerted on them to do so. Freemasonry holds those ideas, brotherly love, relief, and truth, faith, hope, and charity, sacred. So what is Freemasonry? Well, it's a union of men who stand for those ideas and stand for them against all odds if need be. We stand for those simple ideas no matter what. Freemasons have stood against attacks by popes for hundreds of years. Freemasons stood in this country during the anti-Masonic movement when we became so small that our Grand Lodges were barely functioning. Freemasons have stood against kings and other despots who tried in vain to outlaw our gatherings. Freemasons have stood against the literal tortures of the Inquisition in Italy, Spain, and Paraguay. When the Soviet Union and its bloc countries disallowed Freemasonry, Freemasonry stood, as evidenced by the fact that the Grand Lodge of Russia popped up into public view the moment Soviet oppression was thrown off. Today in Iran, Freemasonry stands. Freemasons there have been murdered in the most horrific ways possible, yet the Grand Lodge of Iran in exile exists, ready to flourish again in that ancient Persian land just as soon as the fanatics are overthrown. The Nazi regime in Germany, through all of that country's famous efficiency towards the eradication of Freemasonry, yet Freemasons stood against the world's most horrific terror. In just one example, Lodge Liberty Cherie was created by prisoners within a Nazi concentration camp on November 15, 1943, and met regularly, dispensing Masonic light and education to its members and those it had initiated under its own accord. Only 2 members of Liberty Cherie survived the horrors of the concentration camp, yet those 2 Freemasons stood. Dictators and totalitarians have always despised Freemasonry and attempted to annihilate Freemasonry, viewed our sacred institution with a fanatical hatred, simply because of those ideas mentioned above. Brutal tyrants, such as Spain's Franco, have obsessed over Freemasonry, and they wholesale have murdered any Freemasons they find, simply because Freemasons hold to those basic ideas mentioned earlier: brotherly love, relief, and truth, faith, hope, and charity. To a tyrant, either religious or secular, anyone holding to those truths must be destroyed. Yet Freemasons stand. Freemasonry stands openly today in Spain, despite Franco spending decades hunting down and murdering every Freemason found in that country. Freemasons have stood against the tortures of the Inquisition. Freemasons have stood against their casual murder in Lenin and Stalin's Russia. Freemasons have stood against their systemic murder in Franco's Spain and Hitler's Germany. Freemasons stand today despite the threats in those few nations that are not now free. Closer to home, Freemasons stand today in British Columbia and the Yukon, despite the fact that a fanatic burned down 3 Masonic temples in Vancouver earlier this year. Freemasons stand today in France in defiance of the terrorist conspiracy to attack a Masonic temple and murder the Grand Master of France earlier this year. Everywhere Freemasons have stood against oppression, in every single case, for hundreds of years, the dictators have always fallen away, and Freemasonry has thrived once again. And if you've seen my coin and pin yet, that's the meaning of the symbolism on them, the forget-me-not. the symbol of German Masonic resistance to Nazism. And that is the legend that we should seek out to live every day and in every way. No tyrant, no matter how brutal or efficient, whether from church or state, has ever been able to stamp out Freemasonry, because Freemasonry is not a dead thing. It is not buildings. Freemasonry is a living idea. It cannot be destroyed because it truly only exists within the hearts of men. Just as within that lodge formed within a concentration camp, Liberty Cherie, as long as those two brothers survived the Nazi horror, Freemasonry survived. Freemasonry can never be destroyed from without. Only our own inaction or wrong action could ever destroy it. We are all blessed to be in the United States. It's easy for us to stand for Freemasonry. In some other countries, the blood of Freemasons has run in rivers, yet those Freemasons have stood. So tonight, I am asking that you stand with me, that you take a stand for Freemasonry, that you join me in standing for Freemasonry, that you join me so that we can stand strong, each and every one of us, giving our very best to Freemasonry so that it might have a bright dawn each morning, dispensing its light to the world as it always has. Stand with me. Let us work together to ensure that the future of Freemasonry is even brighter than its truly illustrious past. Please, stand with me for Freemasonry. Thank you. We were going to march out, but Most Worshipful Brother Kendall tells me we should do some presentations, so we will do them now.
Thank you, Grandmaster. Is this on? Hello? It's on. So when a Mason discovers that a mistake or an error has been made, then they work very hard to correct that error. Unbeknownst to me, as the acting junior past Grand Master, I was supposed to present a medal to our newest past Grand Master. It's 14 karat gold, and it's passed down every year to the newest past Grand Master. So, Most Worshipful Brother, this is now yours to carry until next year when you present it to your successor. There's a piece of paper up here I'm supposed to read. It's not that one.
You mean this one?
I don't know, is it?
It's the one that looks
It is by George. This past Grand Master's device is presented to the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the state of Washington on behalf of Daylight Lodge number 232, in appreciation of the recognition over the years of the skills, talent, and expertise of so many of the brothers of our lodge. This past Grand Master's device is made of 14 karat gold, modeled after a jewel from the Mount Horeb Lodge of the Boston, Massachusetts area. The jewel was crafted and assembled by Brother Richard Roberts. A particular note is the central past Grand Master symbol. This symbol is handcrafted in gold by Brother Roberts, a retired jeweler, appropriately enameled, and the orientation of the symbol is taken from the orientation of the symbols displayed in the Grand Lodge in London. It is the wish of Daylight Lodge number 232 that this jewel should become a tradition of Grand Lodge, being passed on to each succeeding past Grand Master to be worn during the year following his service as Grand Master.
Thank you. I will wear this with great pleasure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, while you're here, you might as well give him that.
Oh,
You mean I have to take this one off?
no, leave that one on, but you can tuck this one in. It says past Grandmaster.
Oh,
That
this-
first word there,
Yeah, this one's
great.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you, Grandmaster.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other presentation? All right, seeing none, thank you all for coming. We appreciate it very much. Oh. See, now they,
There is no presentation, Grandmaster. I'm sorry, I got nothing for you. So.
oh,
But very worshipful brother Clayton does need some help tonight after installation. So if some of the brothers can stick around to help us take down, that would be greatly appreciative. Thank you, Grandmaster.
all right. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it very much. We hope that you enjoyed our ceremony. I think it's rather unique. And with that, we're done. Thank you.